to me, the ability to say like, this is the direction I want to move in, it allows you to create that direction in your life, and also to see yourself as a force of change. Instead of saying like, I'm just taking life as it comes to me, and just feeling kind of powerless in that. I feel like there is something really beautiful of the ability to say, I am the creator. I am the creator of my life. And I get to choose what comes in to my life and what is no longer serving me, and have that be in service of the direction that I want to take my life into. Welcome to A Way of Thinking podcast. This podcast is dedicated to lighting the way towards greater inner peace and purpose. Hello and welcome to this episode of A Way of Thinking. And to all of you, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024. I'm your host, Jessica Huang. And as I mentioned in the last episode, which was focused all around kind of how we're looking at the last year and kind of closing out that chapter. And so if you haven't already, I highly suggest going back and tuning into that episode first. But this episode is going to be all around your vision for this year. Before we get started and jump in, I want to make a few quick announcements. So first of all, if you are enjoying this podcast and you want to donate, you can do so at my website, jessicahuangcoaching.com/donate. And that is to support the what goes into creating this podcast. So I really hope that you are gaining so much from all the incredible wisdom that has been being shared on this podcast. Second of all, if you are looking for support in moving from a corporate career into a more creative career, if that is something that is sitting with you where you're saying to yourself, why is it that I don't feel like I quite am fitting into where my life is right now? If you're asking yourself the question of like, there's always been this kind of pull towards something more creative that I have just been putting to the side, and I really want to start this new year really moving in the direction of what I really want, then I offer to you to connect with me through a free discovery call. And you can do so at my website, jessicahuangcoaching.com. And I would love to connect with you and help you on your journey. And last but not least is that if you are looking to go more into your yoga practice, I offer 3 classes. There is psychic development at 9:30 and all of these are on Sundays. So at 9:30 there's psychic development. At 10:30 there's yoga nidra. And at noon, I have a Dharma yoga charging practice, which is a physical asana practice. So all the different practices that you can have, and especially this is the time, especially to utilize these practices to really reset ourselves mentally, spiritually, emotionally, each week, to really set ourselves up for success into the coming week. And, psychic development especially is a very powerful practice, which is helping us really tune in and kind of purify our psychic channels, bring in that ability to really manifest the things that we're going to talk about in this episode. And it is kind of like supercharging our thoughts, supercharging our ability to create that vision that we are creating for ourselves. So if you are interested in any of that, please reach out to me on Instagram or on my website, and I look forward to sharing the practice with you. All right, so now let's dive into today's show. So today's episode is all about visioning, and I'll be honest with you, this is an interesting topic because I've spent a lot of time in my life not having a vision. And I think that's why I am pretty passionate about this idea, because I think that there's it that I was asking myself this question of like, why am I making this episode, like why am I talking to you about this? And the reason is that I think it's really powerful. It's that ability to say, where do I want to go? And I spent most of my life feeling like I was kind of just going where I was told to go, going where society was expecting me to go, where my parents were telling me to go, where all these outside influences were kind of directing me to go. And I would kind of just take life as it came, right? I was like, "Oh, this job was offered to me. Does it sound good?" Like yes or no, and just would go with it. And I think that there is a lot of power behind actually creating a vision for yourself, and creating this kind of that I like to see it as like a North Star, this ability to say, this is what I really want. And yes, I may not know how I'm getting there. I may not exactly uh I'm not exactly saying like it has to look a certain way, but having that kind of guiding light, I think creates a different perspective, it's kind of like a shift in the way that we are living our lives that I think is really powerful. And I started this because I took this course called Life Book, which I do highly suggest if you're someone that's like, I want to really dive in on life vision. I think Life Book is a wonderful program. I'm going to give you kind of the best parts of everything I've learned about visioning in this episode. And to me, the ability to say like, this is the direction I want to move in, it's just it allows you to create that direction in your life, to and also to see yourself as a force of change. Instead of saying like, I'm just taking life as it comes to me, and just feeling kind of powerless in that. I feel like there is something really beautiful of the ability to say, I am the creator. I am the creator of my life. And I get to choose what comes in to my life and what is no longer serving me, and have that be in service of the direction that I want to take my life into. And I think that is the power behind creating a vision. And something even more practical around this that I found myself around going down this path is that I found that it made my choices a lot easier. And so if you're someone like me, for the longest time, and it's still something I'm working through for sure, but for the longest time, I was the type of person who I could not make a decision for the life of me. Like I was like, I'm very good at like arguing both sides and then getting caught in the middle of it and then never making a decision. And just like it would create so much stress and anxiety in my life. And something that really was beautiful about creating a vision for myself, which I hope will be the same for you, is that it gave me that North Star. It gave me something where I would be able to look at a decision and ask myself, is this in service of that North Star or not? And it made things so much clearer for me, where it's like, it gave me that ability to say like, I'm holding this as where I'm going, and my decisions along the way need to be run through that filter. It needs to run through that filter and say like, is it moving me closer or farther away from that guiding light, that North Star? So that's a little bit of what has helped me. And that is a question that I would say that after we go through this process, like hold to that North Star and use that as your compass. Okay. So that's a little bit of the why. And so what I was thinking about what we could do today is, I want you to first, I'm going to take you very similar to the last episode. We'll talk a little bit about the vision, and then I'm going to guide you through a meditation. And then I'll ask you some questions around it that you can kind of utilize coming off of that, off of the meditation. Okay. So the first thing I was thinking about is the fact that there's all these different areas of our lives. And so one of the things that I do think is really important is kind of clarifying, like, what is the most important area that you want to focus on? And not to say that all the other pieces of the puzzle aren't important, but I do think that we do need to kind of focus our efforts in terms of, like, in order to really create change for ourselves. And again, this is that kind of like having that focal point is going to help us move in that direction, and it's kind of like the other things kind of come in around that. But I do feel like it is really important to kind of clarify, like, what is the area that is really the main thing that you want to work on. And you can choose two or three as like your focal points for the year, but there, I feel like it is best, to me, the best practice is like having one main one and maybe like two side dishes, where it's like your main course is the thing that you're like, this is the thing that most of my attention, energy is going to go towards that. So some options that I will just throw out there as things that you can think of about are, you know, I think the biggest things in our life usually are like around career, relationships, our health. And I would break down your health in terms of like your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health. So I would say like those tend to be like some of the biggest areas of our lives that we tend to want to focus on. You know, it could also be like you wanting more of a social life. It could be you wanting to have better relationships. Like all the other things kind of are breakdowns of those bigger things, you see, like social life is under relationships or your love life and all those kind of things. So which of those kind of is the main one that this year, like, you really want to focus on? And as we're going through the meditation, I want you to zero in on that one, and creating that vision for that one. And if you want to, of course, you can go through and you can do this again, or you can pause and you can ruminate on the other areas. But again, I do find it best to be really zeroed in on something that is the most important thing to you. Okay, so now let's dive into our meditation. Okay, so I want you to find a comfortable seat, or if you're doing this while moving, just kind of clearing a little bit of space for yourself, but kind of settling in. So if you're sitting down, I want you to take a seat, place your feet down firmly on the ground, really feel your seat in the chair. And just start to bring your awareness to your breath and just zeroing in on your inhales and your exhales. You can go as far as really feeling the air moving in and out through your nose, noticing the temperature of the air. And start to make your inhales and your exhales longer. So breathing in really deep, take a nice deep breath in, and really lengthening your exhale, making your exhale even longer than your inhale. Again, breathing in, long exhale. And as you inhale, connecting to gratitude. And as you exhale, releasing anything you no longer need. Again, breathing in with gratitude or appreciation. And exhaling and releasing anything you don't need, letting it go. And slowly start to come back to your natural breathing pattern. And I want you to start to imagine that you are moving through and just visualizing yourself moving through the rest of your day. Imagine your day just kind of as you're expecting it to go, just moving through your day. And you're reaching the end of your day and you're getting into bed. And you go to sleep. And you go into a deep, restful sleep. And I want you to imagine that when you wake up, you are waking up 5 years from now. So imagine that in the morning, it is suddenly 5 years from now. And I want you to imagine that you are waking up to everything that you could possibly want is already occurring. And you are waking up so excited, so joyful, and full of energy. And I want you to imagine, what is it that you are getting up to? What is your day? What is in your life now? And I want you to really imagine yourself sitting up in your bed, stepping foot, placing your feet on the ground, getting up. And I want you to imagine whatever it is that you're envisioning for yourself as already having occurred, as what you already have. So really dial in to your imagination here. And imagine dialing in to whatever it is that you want to occur, that you already have it. You're right there. Who is around you? What is it that you're doing? What is it that you are so excited about? And really tune in to how you're feeling in this moment. Really tune in to the excitement, whatever emotions rise up from already being in this version of you. And I want you to imagine now that this version of you that already has that success is looking back on yourself from the present day, from 5 years ago. And imagine you telling yourself one piece of advice of how you got to where you are now. What is one thing that you need to know from this version of you 5 years in the future? What are they telling you? And taking in any last wisdom from this version of you. And now I want you to imagine that this version of you now has finished that incredible, beautiful, exciting day. And now they're heading to bed. And so I want you to imagine yourself lying in that bed, in the bed of your future self, in that dream life, going to sleep, and now waking back up in wherever your current bed is, and coming back into wherever you are right now. And so sitting down where you are or wherever you're standing or walking, and slowly wiggling your fingers and your toes, moving your head from side to side, feeling your seat in your chair. Come back to this moment and slowly open your eyes. All right, so that's the meditation. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the things that that came up there. So, first off, if you can, take a moment and journal out like whatever came to you. But I love the idea that like we often already know what we want. And I love this meditation just to kind of allow ourselves to tap into whatever it is that we want. And I want you to remember that you have already within you that version of you who has that already exists. That version of you already is out there, and you will become that person. So it's interesting because sometimes I think one of the first things that we can think of when we do something like this is like, that feels too far away. And I want to kind of disrupt that thought first off, because I want you to remember that you already have within you whatever it takes to get there. That the fact that you have this vision, the fact that you are imagining that as the thing that you want, means that like you're going to get there. And one of the things that I think can come up here is fear, right? It's this fear of like, how can I get there? You know, of it we start to create all these like nuts and bolts of like, of like feeling like it can't be done, or like that it's impossible. And I want to dissuade you from that idea, because one of the things that I've been connecting to is this idea of like being terrifyingly excited. It's something that I think is kind of like a fun play on words to me, where it's like I'm excited, but I'm also freaking out. And I think that there's something really powerful in that feeling, though, because it's like, how can we let ourselves be scared, but not be scared to the point where we don't let ourselves have or want the things that we really want. And so it's allowing ourselves to know that fear can exist there, but also know that like, but it gets to be a part of excitement, right? I mentioned this in another episode, that like fear is excitement on pause, right? Like this idea that fear and excitement both kind of create the same kind of like bubbly, like sensation in our body. And so if we kind of reframe our fears as being excitement and being terrifyingly excited, then it doesn't have to necessarily hold us back. It doesn't necessarily have to make us kind of like place this kind of space from what we really want. And instead we can go into it going like, oh, I'm scared, but I'm excited. And so that's something that I think is a very normal reaction. So I want to first normalize that and say that it's okay if that vision kind of freaked you out. You know, often that is part of the process of visioning, right? But it is grounding ourselves in the fact that like it can be done, and that ideal is I like to think of it as it already exists. That is how I love to look at these visions, is like there is already a version of you that already has that thing. And you're just trying to take all the little steps that gets you to that version. Okay. So the next thing I want to say though is that I think it's what's really something that's really important though is connecting to why. Why is it that you want that vision for yourself? Because if we're not connected to our why, it's easy for us to let the fear kind of throw us off course, or to not really, to not really keep pushing ourselves forward. And not that I want to use the word pushing, but to not keep moving forward towards that vision. So one thing that I highly suggest is asking yourself why. And I would actually suggest asking yourself why 5 times. Because when you ask yourself why the first time, it's going to be kind of like this like high level why, but it's when we keep asking ourselves why that we get to the real root of why we really want something. Because it's not for these kind of surface level things. There is something deeper that is driving that vision, and it is really digging into the root of that is going to help you really really cement in to that deeper why of what you really want for yourself. So I highly suggest to kind of go through that exercise and really connect to why you really want something in order to really ground yourself in really making this vision a reality. All right. The next thing I want to say is this idea of like I've been hearing this a lot, and I really do resonate with it, is this idea of be, do, have. And so that's really the order of how we create the things that we really want for ourselves. It is not just it is really about who do you need to become, or who do you need to be in order to have the thing that you want. So it's first clarifying like what are the qualities of this person that has that life. Who are they in this world? What do they believe? What is it that they who are they being in order to have the things that they want? And it's interesting because this is a really great question also to clarify if that vision is really what you want. And it's interesting. I was talking to my best friend actually the other day, and we were discussing this idea, and she was telling me how she was like, well, I want this. I want to have this. But like I don't want to take on the qualities in order to have that thing. And it made me ask her like, but is that really what you want then? Like if that's, we one of the like a good practice is kind of saying to yourself like who is a version, like who is someone that does have that thing that you want to have, and what qualities do they have? And do you want to have those qualities? Because at the end of the day, if you're not if you don't want to be that type of person, then do you really want to have the thing that they have? And maybe the answer is no. And maybe it's like reconstructing that and really connecting to a different vision. Really, so we have to run ourselves through these questions as well to really clarify like, is that really the vision? Because otherwise we are moving ourselves towards something that we don't really want, and that just creates like friction and tension that will in essence not allow us to get to what we want, because it isn't what we actually want. And so I want you to also run yourself through this question of like, is this really what I want? And so look at who do you need to be in order to have the thing that you want. And if that is not in alignment with your values, with who you are as a person, with that vision that you have for who you want to be at your core, then it's worth reworking and looking back at like at reclarifying that vision. Another question that I think is really important. So one of the exercises that I often do is like you start with your vision and then you kind of work your way down. And so you kind of say like, well, what do I want to do this year in order to get that vision? What do I want to do this quarter? What do I want to do this month? And so you can certainly go through all of those steps if you want to work your way down. I actually think that the most important one is the daily level. Like, what do I want to do every day that takes me closer to that vision? And to me, like that is that being, right? Like, who do I need to be each and every day to get myself closer and closer to that vision that I want for myself? There's this quote that I really love that I want to share with you, and it's by Aristotle, and he says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit." And I feel like this, I wrote it down because that's how much I love this quote, but I think about that a lot, right? It's that ability to say that it's all these little tiny actions that actually are what gets us up to that bigger vision. And so that's why I feel like focusing in on what can I do on a daily basis, like what is there a quality that I want to exemplify, is there an action I want to take every single day and that I'm willing to take every single day that will get me closer to that vision. So that is the question that I think that is super important to reflect on, because again, that is also going to help you clarify that vision, that ability to say like, am I willing to put in the work? Am I willing to do this step by step to get to that vision? And that willingness is what is really going to help you, because at the end of the day, it is always the journey, not the destination, that really matters. And it's our ability to enjoy the process, to enjoy saying like, I am willing to take to be on this path, to take all these little incremental steps. And yes, I am holding this guiding light up here, but it is really, at the end of the day, we will spend more of our time on the journey to that vision, that goal, than we will actually be in that goal, right? It's like how we will might reach that goal and go yay for that 5 seconds, but it is all those days that are getting us there that is really what is important. You know, I've been reading The Power Is Now lately, and it's been really making me reflect on the ability to be present in our lives. And I feel like that also is what I'm speaking to here, is that ability to remember that all, like, our focus in this life is the present moment. And so that's why, like, it is each of these steps, each of these days, it is that journey that is what is really important. And so we hold the vision, but we enjoy all of the little pieces that are getting us there. And the last thing that I want to say is that something that I think is really important about holding this vision is who do you need to be along this journey for you? And being really mindful about this question, because the thing that we don't need is to take it to be telling every single person about it and having them question and mold and shift our vision around, because this is what I was talking about earlier, right? Is this idea where oftentimes our vision has, or our lives have been molded and shifted and kind of construed by a lot of outside influence. And that is not what we want for our vision. What we do want for our vision is the ability to say like, this is what I want, right? Like, this is what would really be exciting and satisfying and fulfilling and purposeful for me. And really grounding yourself on the fact that like, this is your journey. So, but at the same time, I feel like something that I love to think about is like, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, we go together. And so I think that there is such a value and importance of finding the right people to bring with you on this journey. So who in your life do you believe is supportive of what you want to go after, and allowing them to support you on this journey, allowing them to help you with accountability, with in terms of really being on that journey, right? Like who can support you through that journey. And if you're listening to this right now and you're going, I don't know who that is, then that's where it's like getting that outside support through coaches, through therapists, through third parties that can support you on that, because you it it is a it's so important to have support in the journey. And, I look back on my own journey and it's like, I would not be where I am today if it weren't for all the wonderful people who have supported me along the way. The coaches I have, my therapist, wonderful friends who understand my vision for my life and want to help me get there, and won't let me get stuck along the way. And so I think it's so important to have that support and build a good network around you that will help you in terms of getting to that beautiful golden vision that you are creating for yourself. So I hope that's helpful. And yes, so really making sure that you are clarifying your vision, you're running it through these kind of questions that make you say, like, is this really what I want? And is it really my voice at the end of the day? Is it really true to me and not the influence of what everyone else is telling me to do, but really true to who you are and what you want for yourself? And then from there, being able to say, like, what am I willing to do to get there, and who can support me on that journey. So I wish you all a wonderful new year, and I am so excited for you to craft your vision and move on that journey towards what it is that you're looking for. And if you want support in guiding and guidance in terms of making that dream happen and clarifying your why and digging and really finding that path for yourself, then please reach out and to me or to another coach. I really believe in the power of coaching. It is something that has helped me in my journey, and I, that's why I'm doing what I do. So I again wish you all the best, and I hope that this was helpful in clarifying and really connecting to that beautiful vision for your life. You are the creator, and you can create the most incredible life for yourself.